Hello, Tom Levecki here with a special live edition of the Armchair MBA. I happen to have scheduled today an online meeting and like an online course on branding for a bunch of physicians, about like 30 integrative dermatologists. I was invited to speak. It was a great online seminar. I was really happy about it. And I kind of like said to myself, I said, wait a second. I said, I have a lot to offer in terms of like other areas, in terms of business, marketing, some finance, that kind of stuff. I said, I've literally gotten more than one request, probably about 5 requests this last year, each week, about the genre, what I thought of it, that kind of stuff. So I said, wait a second, I'm kind of doing a seminar today. Why don't I do some research, or at least give my opinion on the mob genre, right? Given my marketing expertise, not that I'm the best in the world, but I do own an agency and I do have a little bit of background on it. Say, just kind of where do I land on the genre, and then what could my opinion be? So I put something together that I'm going to share with you guys today. Let me just do some shout outs while we're here. The Truth, how are you? Now, so here's the thing. I want to preface this, and this is extremely important, okay? I'm going to approach this from the macro level. This is not meant for any individual creators to internalize and be like, Tom's talking about me. This is not meant for, respectfully, the Truth and other people to throw barbs at other creators and say, well, that creator did this, that creator did that. They're responsible for this. I'm going to take a macro level, kind of like the 30,000 view level, if you will, on my opinion as to why the genre essentially failed. And you're welcome to share. You're welcome to share your thoughts. You're welcome to share your opinions. But this is not meant to chastise anybody or kind of get anybody individually. Mobtube, more like Springer Tube. Yeah, and I'll get into that. And thank you, Bambi, for the support. It's greatly appreciated. Prego. Grazie. Buffalo Billy, you're gonna like this one because I know you, I believe, have a similar background to me, so that'll be cool. So, hurt feelings, petty revenge, separation of fan base, cult group of embellishment, content creators, drama. So you're pretty close on a lot of those things. And again, these are just the top 6. These are just the top 6. So there's many other reasons. I think these are like the 80-20 rule. I think this makes up for 20% of it, but 80% of the reason why. And there's a whole bunch of other reasons why, and we'll get into that. The whole genre failed. As a whole, I believe it has, and I'll get into why in a moment. I actually put together an MBA type presentation for you guys. I know I'm a little nerdy, but I figure you guys check it out. And one-side narrative, echo chambers, yeah. I don't know. They could say that it failed. There are a lot of some. Well, listen, those, again, those individual people we're not going to necessarily be talking about today. That's not the spirit of what we're talking about. It's more about the genre. I'm always going to welcome all opinions and thoughts and that kind of stuff. But again, this isn't to bash any particular creator, because no one creator is responsible for the success and or failure. Too many fakes, that could be part of it. Too many wannabes, creator with no content. My opinion for a long time. And again, Bambi, thank you for your opinion, as it's really cherished. I'm not going to comment on individual creators today, Achilles, but I do appreciate you asking. I forgot about this show. Well, I'm here and I'm back, and we're starting to create some more content again, so stay tuned. So, all right, without any further ado, was it top 5? I think it's top 6 reasons. I added a 6 at the end. I think it's the top 6 reasons why the mobtube. Or the mob genre. Mobtube is a little different. I don't want to talk about mobtube because that's a little subset, I believe, of the mob genre. So I'm going to talk about 5 reasons, now 6, I'll give you a bonus one, as why the mob genre failed. If it failed as a businessman, why are you still involved in this genre? Hi, Shrek. I have a feeling that might be a sock account. I'm just guessing. Well, as a businessman, as a content creator, I personally love mob content. It's just an area that I think I have a fair amount of knowledge of. I like it, and I like to have people on my show that I'm interested in speaking with. I have branched out a little bit. So if you look at my content, I do some other content, and I will continue to do some other content. So although mob stuff will be my core, I will also do some other content. And I'll give you the reasons why you can't just do mob content. So if you just focus on mob content, I don't think anybody's going to win with the exception of few. And then for myself, I will still continue to do some great mob content, but I will also branch out to business and other stuff where I believe I have an expertise. Too many Indians, not enough chiefs in the game. That could be a fair assessment. A lot of stories been told a zillion times. How many stories can the same wise guy tell over the years? That is true. John Ray. I don't know who says that. And Shrek, I appreciate that. And again, I think you're a sock account, but everybody's welcome to be on my channel. I have an open channel. I welcome all, just as long as you guys are courteous and professional to each other. That's all I care about. Genre, right? So now we're getting some lessons on how to pronounce it. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. Okay. So you look at the top podcasts in the space. I would like to see more business content. Yeah, and you'll see more of it, David, as well. Bring back MBA, but man, at least bring back the library. Yeah, so John and I's show has been disbanded for a while, Achilles, as you know, and that content is gone. So just kind of it is what it is type thing. Squale, a mob entertainment group. Okay, so Larry McShane called me when we had the old show, the NBA Button Man, and he wanted to say, hey, we want to feature you guys, John and you, and we're doing an article in the Daily News. And he kind of said to me, he said, how big is the space really? And me as a marketer kind of was challenged. He kind of challenged me a little bit, whether inadvertently or really just wanted to know, in my opinion, on how big the genre really was. So if you look at the biggest player in the space, you're looking at, let's say, for example, Mike Francis. Mike's a great guy to me. He was just on the New Theory show. He called in not long ago. He's been very fair with me over the years. I've interviewed him like 2 or 3 times. Michael, I could text anytime. I can call anytime. He's an open book with me, and I really appreciate him. Whether we like it or not, he's a top dog in the space, regardless of personal feelings aside. With that said, is he has a large audience. He has 1 million followers. But I'm just giving my opinion and my analysis, which is a good thing, that he did build an audience outside of the genre. He is a Christian speaker. I don't believe he's an actual minister. I believe he's a Christian speaker and speaks at these kind of mega churches and these events, and really built a nice following in that space. Because that's what you do. You find a niche or genre, you grow in it, and then you expand. It's called land and expand, right? And we'll talk into some of the perils of why that's sometimes not good. So he's the biggest guy in the space, 1 million followers, but a lot of his followers are not necessarily from the mob space. So it really didn't give a true representation of how big the space is. And the reason being is because it does get kind of convoluted with it kind of gets convoluted with the Christian followers. And as a result, his numbers are skewed, in my opinion. So then I say, okay, who's the next up to bat? You're looking at Sammy, right? So Sammy was a gangster, ex-mafia guy, underboss. Pretty much everybody kind of knows his credentials. He's at about a little north of 500,000 subs. So basically, his whole audience is probably the max cap or the max capacity of the mafia genre, right? Meaning, what's the total market opportunity? Probably 500,000 subs. Maybe you don't want to watch him because you don't like informants. Maybe he's not your cup of tea, but he's a market leader in the space. So it kind of tells you the total market's 500,000 subs. And I'm not saying it's not a lot. I only have 25,000. But in the grand scheme of things, 500,000 subs is not a lot. I actually have a friend, an ex-client, Jay Hill's a young guy. I used to be a client of ours. He's got 500,000 subs doing like kid stuff. He makes 20,000 a month. He does really well for himself. He's a young kid. I think he's like 19 now. And he got 500,000 subs pretty easy by collaborating with bigger people. So in other spaces and other genres, 500,000 not a lot, but for the mob, it's about 500,000 is the total market capacity. Next up is Larry Lawton. The reason why I bring him up is he's a very good example of having some mob content, but going over in the kind of the jails, the prison space, kind of like, in my opinion, Chad Marks is a leader there, but he dabbles in mob, prison, but also mainstream crime. And is like kind of like jewelry thief and that kind of stuff. So he is a success story on kind of breaking out and saying, hey, here you go. I do other stuff, not just traditional mob stuff. And he has about 1.4 million subs. I actually have one of his cigars I need to try. Mike Marino, who I was on my podcast, comedian. I was on his podcast recently. Gave me a Larry Lawton cigar and said he'll help get Larry get on the show. Somebody always wanted to get on. And then talk about micro. And this is what I mean. A micro channel essentially is a channel under 100,000 subs. 100,000 subs is a lot. If I got to 100,000 subs, I'd be on here every day. But my point being is under 100,000 subs in the grand scheme in certain measurements is still considered a micro channel. So you look at, to me, the king of the micro channels, respectfully, is James, who's just south of 60,000. And I believe he's a top podcaster or top channel in the micro podcasting space. Let me just see the comments real quick so I don't get too far behind. Hey Tony, how are you? Oh, see no evil, man. It's been a minute. Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, a lot of it's recycled, which I'll get into why that happens. I'm gonna give my business kind of marketing rationale, and you guys are welcome to unpack it as you see fit. Yeah, he never let the negativity, he never got involved with the drama. A lot of people went at him and for him, and I get it. So, see no evil, Squally. I just want to say hello to everybody. Tony, a sincere welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. But yeah, so that's kind of like what's going on in terms of the macro level and who the top players are. So, reason number one, okay, is lack of collaboration, not with the government, but lack of collaboration between creators. Okay. Francis make up his podcast. I probably about, I would guess probably about 30 grand a month. But remember, he has a team, a manager, producers, that kind of stuff. I don't know what he nets. That's his kind of thing. But he probably makes about 30,000 a month. There's Social Blade, which I'm going to get into. That's a great question. What does he make off his podcast? So when you get to a certain level, you want to monetize it, and the AdSense is not enough. So the question is not what he makes off his podcast in terms of ad revenue. What does he make his podcast off a whole? And I'll get to that. I don't want to jump too far ahead. So number one reason for why the mob genre has failed: lack of collaboration, right, between creators. In other spaces, and I just had Echoes from Above on. He has about 10,000 subs. He had a beef with Spencer Cornelia, who has 500,000 subs. He came on his show and they debated it for 2.5 hours, and they left to an understanding. But that 500,000 sub guy went down to talk to a 10,000 sub guy. That's an example of enemies and people that don't like each other were able to sit down and have a good conversation, even though they didn't like each other. Number two, in these big spaces, these big content creators will partner with smaller creators like myself and come on their show free of charge. Why? Because they help build up my practice. Sorry, that's from my other talk. My channel. Now I'm loyal to them. Now they have somebody to flank them if they ever get roasted in the comments, or if there's ever a content war, or just frankly, now I become loyal to that provider. So in other genres, my guy who had 500,000 subs, he worked with two guys. One that now has 2 million subs that makes a full-time 7-figure living off it, and then one guy who retired at 5 million subs. The 5 million guy sub brought up the other two. So in other spaces, it's normal to collaborate on content. It's normal to get together. And the best part is, even if it's different, even if you disagree with, systemically disagree with what they are about, you build your channels off of collaboration, because lack of collaboration, that was the first nail in the coffin. Perfect example. There is no bigger dichotomy, or there's no bigger polarization in this country in philosophical beliefs than politics. Let's call it what it is, right? Even more than informants, politics. Ben Shapiro has a Sunday show that he sits down with people that he is diametrically opposed to philosophically and speaks to them and has a cordial conversation. So in short, it's okay to disagree, but you don't have to be disagreeable. So number one is lack of collaboration. And by the way, there will be a test at the end. Number two, and this goes more for the micro genre. Hey, Mo. Collab with Dom Chakali, less sensitive than John. I text Dom today. Don't worry. Stay tuned. Stuff's in the works there. I've been talking to Dom for a while. He's been a gentleman to me. I think I've been talking to him as early as November, so stay tuned for that. Split, and thank you for the super chat. Anybody wants a super chat, feel free. Super thanks on a replay. Helps the channel grow and helps us keep this going. Reason number two, splitting the audience. Okay, so now the mob genre, I'm going to go with probably 50,000 subs and under. People let philosophical differences as well as personal beefs split the audiences, right? So when I talked about total market opportunity was about 500,000 subs, it boiled down to the kind of the mobtube, if you will, probably only about 10 to 12,000 players in it, right? Or people like yourself, great viewers like yourself, right? Well, how do I get to 100,000 subs even if I own all 12,000? Which made it worse, it got split to about 6,000 each or 5,000 each or 4,000 each, depending how you look at it. Because of why? Philosophical differences, beefing, and arguing. So now what did you do? You literally split half your audience, and now you're not able to extract revenue from them, views from them. And what I just say earlier, you can disagree with somebody wholeheartedly. You can be empathetic with somebody and still not agree, but you may want to watch, or you can collaborate, or you can be respectful. So by splitting the audience was one of the major reasons. And this is a one, do not in the comments say it's one person that did it or only two people or three people. You're talking a swath of 15 people, and the sides you could probably split like a stone. It's probably 7 and 7 or 8 and 8 or whatever that is, right? My point being is because of lack of collaboration with the bigger audiences, with like Mike Francis, with Sammy, with other ones that are big, with the smaller ones. And then number two, what do the smaller people do? They split the audience, right? So around 10K, when you split that audience, it makes it a much smaller piece of the pie. And in terms of a lot of the drama and the infighting, remember, you can't build when you're tearing down. You just can't. So that was number two reason. Number three, and this is something that helped and then hurt the genre, shifts back to streaming, sports, and other genres. The pandemic was a perfect positive storm for the mob genre. I couldn't watch football. I couldn't watch basketball. My favorite show wasn't in production. I was tired of watching reruns. I jumped over to YouTube. I like the mob stuff. Let me start watching mob content. Literally served up a once in a lifetime opportunity for these creators, including myself, a once in a lifetime opportunity. What's happening? Oh, wow. NFL is back. NBA is back. The Wire is back. I don't know if that's still on. My favorite shows are back. Snowfall is back. So we live in an attention economy, and it's all about attention arbitrage. I'm willing to give up my time in order to watch certain content, right? So by doing so, I watched YouTube for a while. Now what? I'm back to Hulu. I'm back to Netflix. So I kind of walked away. So instead of maybe consuming an hour a day of mob genre, I'm probably down to 20 minutes a day. And the rest is being replaced with long form comment and traditional TV and streaming. It was an opportunity to shift the behavior over to YouTube and stick, but because at least of the two aforementioned reasons, it didn't happen. Let me just say, biggest issue, 95% of mob genre is 40 to 65 for the Midwest, where in this genre is a gang, loyal, toxic Staten Island energy. Yeah, so I'll kind of get to that, and that kind of touches on the splitting right? So let's just kind of debrief a little bit or kind of summarize so far. So nobody collaborates or very little collaboration. We kind of cut a very small pie in half. And you know what? Honestly, at this point, I kind of want to go back to Snowfall and Hulu, Game of Thrones reruns, even, but also new stuff that came out. Hey, Jeff, also unqualified commentators trying to claim people out doing mob shows, Armchair MBA, and do feel their academics are qualified, but many are not. I appreciate that, and I try to do my best to stick in my lane in terms of offering value. Okay, number 4, audience capture, and I am the biggest creator in terms of being guilty of this. Okay, audience capture is, I'll give you the academic term for a second, a self-reinforcing feedback loop that involves telling one's audience that they want to hear and getting rewarded for it. In short, if you started off with the drama and you started making really good money with like drama and Italian mob stuff, sorry for the typo, you can't get away from it. Because good luck doing dramatic stuff where you're making really good money and kind of with a tinge of mob stuff, and then all of a sudden covering true crime, all of a sudden covering jewelry theft, all of a sudden covering jail, prison genre. Because your audience capture has you locked in and honed in and rewarding you for certain content, you have 2 options. Stay captured by your audience because you need to live and eat, which is pretty much the right thing in the short term. But if you walk away from your core audience and risk losing them, there goes your money, there goes your support, and there goes your channel. And sometimes when you switch genres and you don't recover, your channel dies. So what happens, essentially, the audience holds the creator bound to that particular area of content and leaves absolutely no room for growth. It's called audience capture. I'm guilty of it. I'm going to have, what's his name, John Dickey on Monday. He's going to do well. He's a worldwide thought leader on mafia and organized crime. That's going to get 20,000 views. I'm in touch with the Escobars again. I'm looking to get more of them on. That's going to get 100,000 views. I do something outside the mob genre or the crime genre that's relevant to what I do, I get 200 views. So then what do? Do I not make money? Do I not do anything? I don't know. I just use Wire as an example. I don't watch a lot of TV shows, so forgive me. So what do? Do I hey, Tone, how are you? Do I try to expand my content and get away from my core audience, even though I don't like doing it anymore, and even though I don't want to do it anymore? I can't. Why? Because I'm bound, because that's where my butter is being bred. But what does it do? It hurts the growth of your channel. And that's called audience capture. And I don't care what creator is out there. We at one point in our content careers are guilty of being or succumbing to audience capture. And I'm the biggest one. Ask Jeff Nadeau. Jeff covers cartels. Jeff covers true crime. His views are still great, and I still watch Jeff Nadeau because I watch for Jeff Nadeau. But I can't imagine that his non-mob stuff does nearly as good as his mob stuff. That's audience capture, my friend, and it's very difficult to get away from. The tech and finance genres make the most money. True crime mafia genre relies on views, hour-long, to make this money. Lack of monetization opportunity is a problem. Joey Electric, you read my next slide. Donor fatigue. Okay. So, because of the lack of growth in the genre, right? What do we talk about? Francis. What do we talk about? Sammy the Bull. What do we talk about? Oh, we're going all the way down. Not down, but still great. OC Shorts, which is still a micro account. Because the genre is not big as a whole, right? I'm not at 80,000 subs. Respectfully, Lee Cole's not at 60, and so many of these other people at certain levels, right? Because of the lack of growth in the space, there were no brand deals offered to guys like us. I got JSV Capital, which, let me do a little shameless plug. He relaunched his course. become a loan consultant. It's an online course. Mention MBA, and you get a discount and a special offering from Jason and JSV Capital. So, as much as I love Jason, as much as I love his partial sponsorship, which partially sponsors the show, big brands are not knocking on my door saying, "Hey, Tom, we want to sponsor your show," right? And just to give you guys a little bit of, well, Joey Electric knows what he's talking about. That's what Sammy had to create a Patreon because he has low CPM. Okay, so CPM is, and Joe, do you know my slides? CPM is cost per thousand. So if you are in a space like, for example, I'm going to do a finance show, an insurance show. What will happen is people are into finance and insurance, and the ads will come up, and they'll pay like $12, $15 for 1,000 views. For the mob genre, it's like whatever. And my CPM views are like $6 each. So not only am I in a smaller opportunity, my views I'll make less, right? So because the genre is, and not just CPM, because the genre is not big, we're not getting brand deals. There's Masterworks that pay guys $7,000 a month just for shout outs. There was Established Titles that was paying $10,000 a month. FTX, when it was about, which turned out to be a scam, was paying $100,000 a month for certain creators. We don't get those knocks on the door, not because we're not talented, not because we're not able to do it. It's paid off of views, Fin Freak. So what happened was, because there's lack of interest from brands that are willing to pay us a lot of money, and what do you do with that money? You hire good editors, you may hire a producer, you may hire a booker, you may boost paid ads for your stuff. You may use that money to acquire bigger guests. They're not out there. So what did it do? You had to go to a donor model, right? You got to get paid for your time. It's a free market. So you had to go to a donor market. It's a free market, but the challenge is, because you're an audience capture and because you create one level of content, you're not able to grow your channel. You're kind of bound to one area. So then donor fatigue sets in. Why? Donor fatigue is prevented by, people are going to experience donor fatigue and then drop out, but you're supposed to replenish them with new donors. How do you replenish new donors if you don't grow your channel? Well, and how do you grow your channel when you're stuck with audience capture, which I talked about in reason 4, right? And this what makes it a catch-22, okay? You can't get brand deals because there's not a large audience. There's not a large audience, right? But you can't get a large audience because you're stuck on narrow content. Why are you stuck in narrow content? Because audio capture, and you are in the donation-bound model. And what happens with donation-bound model? You get donor fatigue. People say, hey, you know what? I'm giving my same $10, my same $20, my same $30. I still like this particular person. I think they're great, but they're kind of talking about the same thing over and over and over, where, you know what? I'll go back to what I mentioned the other reason, back to watching Snowfall on Hulu, right? And it's not necessarily the creator's fault either, which I'll get to in a second, what happens for number 6. So because donor fatigue is real and you're not turning over your audience because of audience capture, it's a recipe for disaster. And once donor fatigue sets in, it's really hard as a whole to overcome. Number 6, creator burnout. And this is not talked about enough, right? You see, creating content is difficult. It's not easy. I don't know if there are any other actual, I think Ramondi's on here, but it might be a sock account. But I don't know if there's any other creators here. I don't believe, so forgive me. I think mostly viewers, right? But creating content on a regular basis is extremely difficult. And it's not talked about often enough in terms of us creators. So there's kind of 2 different creators. There's kind of like us, the creators, myself, Nadu, RJ Rogers, even Lee Cole, where we create content, right? We're not mob people. We were never mob people. We're just outsiders, and we're content creators. Then you got the first-hand guys. You got the Sammy, John Panisi, now Dom Sakali, or Mikey Scars, and those people are, the first-hand guys, right? The problem with they're going to run into is the past is limited. There's only so much stuff you can talk about in the past where that ends. And we can talk about their stuff in the past, and we have an advantage of talking about stuff in the future. But you do 4 to 5 shows a week. That's a lot. It's hard to fill the beast with long form content. And I can kind of get into why short term content. I took a short term approach, a short form approach, because TikTok was cutting in too much, and YouTube, they created shorts. I mastered shorts. That's how I get my subs. That's how I get a lot of my views. They now pay us on that. Not a lot, but they pay us. My point being is short form content is actually rolling the roost, and long form content is hurting. So if you're a long form content creator or a long form ex-mob guy, how can you make money in where your audience capture? Because you can't talk about other stuff, especially if you're a former mob guy, with the exception of a crossover like a Law and a Francis, which is very few. So my point being is creators simply run out of things to talk about. They simply run out of ideas, and they wind up repeating the same content over and over and over and over. And that's what happens. My final thoughts, and then I'll take some feedback for anybody. I even drop a link if anybody wants to pop in. I'm not going to be on much longer because I want to get back to my Saturday. But it's a shame. It really is a shame. In Italian, in vergogno, that this could have been a really strong niche where creators assisted each other for mutually beneficial gain. I know some people don't like informants. They don't have to appear on an informant channel, but I'm not an informant. I'd be happy to have somebody come on and share if they were disparately hurt by an informant, or if they are against informants philosophically. I could have somebody on that I disagree with. Here's how I pick people that I want on my show. People that I'm interested in talking to. I like to, and Lex Friedman said this, so I'm paraphrasing, explore the minds of interesting people. That's what I want to do. I don't have a predilection if somebody's like, oh, they're an informant, I can't have them on. Well, I want to talk to them. I want to learn from them. I may disagree with them. Just because you're empathetic doesn't mean you disagree. So I kind of take a different approach. But here's my exact point. People can disagree and have a discussion and maybe find common ground, maybe find middle ground. And those are the 6 reasons why I believe that the mob genre either failed or is doomed to fail. I'm going to do a few more comments. If anybody wants to pop on for a second. You can get sponsors, VPN companies. Yeah, you can. But again, they'll pay you by CPM, right? Now, my CPMs that are payable are in long forms. I could probably make $2,000-3,000 a month doing it. 1 second, JC. But you have to nail it down. You got to do it. They pay it 60-day terms, that kind of stuff. Unless I see paperwork from these guys, I don't believe in Panisi, Elite, Hootie, a few others have a good point, because authenticity is really key in this game. So that show depends on notoriety of the guests, publicity made for show 15 years before, and then regularly. Yeah, agreed. Well, I got the little one here. Yes, burnout is a killer. Even if you keep doing videos while burnt out, it will show in your videos. Yeah, and then you also lose like your passion. It comes out, and then even your core people kind of get turned off. Get burned out by watching this stuff too. Exactly, Tony. Exactly. It's not an easy job. You got to keep your audience tuned in and wanting more. Exactly. Hey, JJ, I got to come on sometime. I appreciate you checking out. I get bored quick. Yeah, that's what my wife says. JC, welcome back 2 times in 2 days. So we're gonna be back.
Hey, I feel special, bro. How are you doing today, Mr. Tom?
I'm well. So give me kind of, I know you're definitely going to comment on it. Give me kind of your thoughts. You're welcome to disagree with any area. What do you think on kind of my assessment on why this has been an underperforming genre, or at least somewhat?
Yeah, I'd say actually very astute observations on your part. And, you know, from a mechanical kind of numbers point of view, marketing business point of view, that's absolutely true. You're a good, you've got an MBA in business for a reason. You're an academic for sure. I would say I agree with 1 or 2 of the commenters said that it was evolving, and I agree with that as well. I think,
well,
you know how business is.
Actually, hold on real quick.
Go ahead.
I don't think I don't think I'm that. To me, when I think academic, I am actually more on the thread of, let's say, RJ Roger. I don't think I'm academic, but you're welcome to feel that way.
Well, compared to a lot of these guys, because look, what's an MBA? Like a 6-year degree, right?
No, MBA took me 4 years part time.
Okay, all right. So yeah, with me, I've got 2 bachelors and an associate. So I went to school. Although I got to go with during the Jerry Tarkanian era, and that was a very interesting time to be at one of his schools for sure. So I kind of liked hanging out there for a while. So might be why I stayed for a minute. But yeah, I think the guy was right though. The person in the audience that said that it's evolving because you know how business is. Even when an industry gets wrecked, oftentimes up from the ashes comes something new.
Well, that's so. I think that let me ask you a question because you respectfully have been. I know you've been kind of on one side, but I think you slalom a little bit from side to side, right? What is there any hope to like any unification, or it's just not going to happen?
Well, people have to understand where it all started from. There was the IG trolls a couple of years ago, even before all this YouTube stuff. The Franzese and Sammy thing, you know, was instigated actually by just a few trolls on IG. And that's the truth. Jimmy Calandra versus A-Light, same thing. So if you look at the way it all evolved, it's sort of basically shifting, you know, people who've shifted or whatever. But my thing with as far as informants was originally I said, all right, I won't, you know, I'll just interview them or whatever. And if they're doing positive things now, you know, then I'm fine with them. If they don't, then they're not, then I won't promote them. You know, I look at what people are doing in today's world. Let me ask you a direct
question. How is your informant content done versus your non-informant content?
Well, the informants have bigger names. You know, I have videos on private that I put a long time ago that, you know, were, you know, Larry Mazza and John A. that have 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 views, and they were only up for a month. You know, that you know, I just kept a lot of my stuff is still on private from before when Hootie and I were doing the show.
All right, let me ask you. And I said this on Lee Cole's show, and I don't have any guys. I just kind of it's a wild ass guess. So, but I feel confident in it, even though I didn't do the research. I have this genre being made up of like 5% consists of people that are directly or indirectly affected by the mob, whether they had somebody in it, they were informed against, somebody informed against their family, maybe they lived in our neighborhood. Like they legitimately, like, and they're not even proud of it. Like they're just legitimately involved tangentially in some way, right? But they're the vocal majority. They're very vocal because they give a shit, right? Another 40% is a mobologist. I consider myself not an academic, but more of a mobologist. I love consuming this content. I love talking about it. I love hearing about it, and so forth, right? Guys, really quick, Jane Creek. Bambi is I believe a newer viewer of the show. If you like kind of disagree with maybe some of her behavior in other chats, it really has nothing to do with her behavior here, which has been really professional. You guys know I'm not a drama channel. I don't talk about other creators negatively. What I just did was about the macro, not even about individual creators. So just have a little respect, especially if it's a female. I don't want to. I have 0 people on block. Like I have this guy Doug who hates me and abuses me. I unblocked him the other day. It was the only one. But nobody on block. Just be a little more. You know, hey, you know what? I don't like you, but I'll get you on another channel. This is not the forum for it. So sorry about that, JC. So
no worries. No worries.
5% are directly affected. About 40% of the mobologists. These are people that are saying, you know what, John A. Light, you know, John Panisi, you know, these guys. I know you're an informant. I know you're an informant. But I want to learn about the mob. I want to learn about the mob. I want to know why, you know, why Vicarina seceded. Why did Bill Cotolo Sr. You know, go with Arena? Like there's people mobologists that this is their historical source, and they're kind of able to get data correctly, and they're able to look past some transgressions. And then the last 40 or so percent are the popcorn eaters. They don't care. This is just entertainment, and the trolls go along with that. This is just, I don't care what you did. I don't care who you did. I don't care what's going on. Hey, I'm in your online gang. Great. This is fun. I got your back. I don't know what that means. You know, like type faster, but they're just people that are here for entertainment. They don't care if John A. Light and John Gotti Jr. were friends until, I don't know, 92 or 98. They're just here for the entertainment. And the 5% doesn't always understand about the other 95%. Now, maybe they not give a shit. You killed my father, I wouldn't care about the 95%. So I agree with them in that sense. But what I was trying to say earlier, we can disagree. We can disagree without being disagreeable. You know what I mean?
Sure. Now, and part of the problem is the percentage of people that are in that latter category that are basically loser trolls, incels, and the others that do their input that had nothing to do with anything, but then they act like they're going to hunt rats and all this other garbage.
Well,
now,
there's a few different types.
Back in the day, there was a little bit more of a respect in the earliest stages of the genre a couple years ago, when Hootie and I had the show, when you and Panisi had your show, when A-Light and Borello were with Felix still. There was an appreciation for more honesty in the sense that, yes, John A-Light would exaggerate a bit about, rather than 20 shots, it was only 10 shots. But, that's an exaggeration in A-Light's world. But with us, it was all accurate. I was going to go on Gene and John's show. Felix, they looked into my background. I showed them letters from years ago, from like 2012, 2013, 2014, from my last court case where I was labeled by the state of California as an ex-mob figure, things like that. Felix Levine is really good with background checks and all that. He did that with anybody who was, M. Callie was going to go on the show, guys like that. But now, bro, some Joe Schmo says he has a New York accent and says he was affiliated with a mob, and you got clowns that give these guys credibility.
Well, let me ask you this, because authenticity is key. And if you have paperwork, I'm sure you showed in the past or have it available. A lot of people do try to say you're full of shit. What do you say to those people?
Who say what now?
A lot of people think that you're full of shit or exaggerate your background. What do you?
Me? What's funny is I actually was looking through my court file earlier. Here, I'll bust out my.
No, I'm not trying to do it. I got you, man. Just verbally, if you could just quickly share what your thoughts on that.
Check this out. These are this is from 2014. This is the place that has a contract for California's local and state inmates and even some federal inmates, and had it 10 years ago. But anyhow, look, basically, most of those people are just people who are haters at the end of the day. They're upset that guys like you and I are successful. They don't have a pool table in their front room. They don't have a big front room or a 6-bedroom crib like me.
I might have to succumb.
So it is what it is.
On my pool table.
And you got to have 10%. Let me tell you something, Tom. If you don't have 10% of the YouTube public, including commentators, flat out lying about you, making things up, or just hating on you in general, then you're not actually doing anything on YouTube.
Got it.
That's just the way it is. There's a 10% of the public, and they create literally, 80% of the issues. But they're vocal. It is what it is.
Got it. Really quick, Tony, I did a show on Listy. I did a short. They're known as the fifth. I call them they're called the fifth family. Not I call them that. They're called the fifth family. Indigenous to Sicily, was born out of kind of descent for Cosa Nostra. Flatter organization, took on Cosa Nostra, where literally probably about 1,000 people died in that war. It's not as well known. Kind of controls certain areas. And I did a show on it. Please check it out. It's on the channel.
Yeah. Another thing, Tom, too, by the way, the guys, there's been one or two guys, M. Callie. They were all from my area. Yeah. They all can vouch for my background. The guy that I just had on, Sumi, the dude was part of one of the biggest federal DEA cases in my area. And he said on there, yeah, you and I knew two of the same guys. He's all, I don't want to mention their names because I don't mention names publicly. But you know who I'm talking about. And he was referring, and I go, yeah, I know exactly who you're referring to. But just the fact is, you guys, the easiest way to tell these guys that are fake versus real is if you did any of this stuff, you are going to accumulate a criminal record. You're going to be, there's so many agencies, federal, state, local, that investigate this stuff that someone is going to find out who you are. And at the very least, the jail officials, rehabilitation people, the state prisons and the federal prisons, they will definitely know who you are because they're not bound by any restrictions in terms of background checks.
Got it.
They're going to find you. So it's all good.
Got it. Well, listen, there's going to be some naysayers. There's going to be people that can be for you. There's some people against you. JC, I appreciate you jumping on. I'm going to jump off in a minute or so. I'm going to do a little monologue. But
again, it's the same 5 clowns. It's all good. Let me tell you something, Tom. Like I said, you got to have Tom, you got to have a few haters too, because if you got some haters,
I have no shortage of haters. Trust me.
I know. God bless them all. They need it.
I love it.
All right. Hey, Tom, take it easy. We'll chat soon. All right.
Text me again. Thank you. Johnny, how are you? Yeah, I mean, it's people are gonna like who they like, and people are not gonna like who they like, and they're gonna get their kind of their alliances to whoever they believe. I dropped the link. I'm just gonna stay on for another minute or so. If somebody wants to pop in and say hello. If you want to shoot over a super chat, not gonna hate you for it. Or if you want to say thanks on the rerun on top 6 reasons why I believe this bull deal on why I think the mob genre is doomed to fail. This was JC. He's another content creator. The 10th time he flexed the pool table. Come on, guys. Be nice. I remember him. I may not have a pool table in my front room, but you don't got a Camaro on blocks. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Honestly, I don't know enough to have an opinion. All right, cool. Let me just go through these. A lot of comments. Thank you for hanging out. Oh, is Tommy Sticks here? Oh, shit. Hey, Tommy, how are you, man? I went to Sticks Cigar Place. It's in Rahway. Yesterday, I went with the wife, but it got cut short, but that's another discussion. Next time you're in the area, we got to check it out. Also, you got to come down to my Italian American club. We open late. It's like after 7, but let's plan it out, Tommy. Please reach out soon, and I'd love to host you for a cigar and check out the Italian American Club in Westfield. Marie's Mary Group of Trolls. No, it wasn't one person. That's what I was trying to say. It was a collaborative effort that, or lack thereof, that really hurt this genre. I disagree. You can be very successful without engaging in activity. Agreed. That's kind of what, I don't know. Hopefully you didn't think I said that. I actually agree. I think if you maintain a level of professionalism, even in a weird genre, and you get rid of the negativity, I think you could do really well. I'm not a follower. I do my spoof videos certain. Bambi, I'll check out your channel if you do videos, because I know I think you're a newer viewer of the show, so it's pretty cool. Knowing people doesn't mean you're in the mob. That is 100% correct. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Donald's happy to have you back too, by the way. Yeah, Tommy. So I did the top 6 reasons why. I'll do a quick review as to why the mob genre didn't take off. Lack of collaboration, splitting the audience, shift back in behaviors by people kind of going back to normal television, audience capture where you're kind of locked into your audience, so you got to kind of serve them, and if you deviate, you don't get money. Because it didn't get big, there was not a lot of sponsorship, so you kind of go to the donor model, and when you go to the donor model, you run the risk of donor fatigue, and then lastly, creator burnout. It's really hard to create content. So with that being said, that's kind of like what I did, Tommy. I probably could have adjusted that; would have been done a long time ago. But nevertheless, I know a guy who sold a nickel bag. Must be mafia. That's a fact. He got bad charges. Let him pull up on a prison yard of those child trusty. Yikes. Remember the underwear burglar. Yo, Magelio, how are you, man? This within the last thing. I still owe you a visit. This weekend I'm busy. Next weekend I'm doing a 5K. Actually, after this, that's why my shorts on under this. I'm preparing for a 5K, and then the weekend after I may be available. But Joe, I would love to come visit you guys. I'm just an opinionated viewer. Stigs. Yeah, it was snowing here as well. Where I'm not sure where you are, but it's snowing as well. Bambi, say what you want, but I'm already legitimate criticism about this guy, JD Dox's sisters. That's not good. How great it was that a mobster just wanted to be And you guys are also guilty of a lot of the drama and facilitating certain things. Mac Channel was more successful than JC. Oh, Madge is welcome. Oh, Madge is always welcome to come on. He knows that. I dropped the link a few times. Madge, if you want to pop in, I'm just going to stay on for another 5 minutes. I got to get back to daddy duty. This was a good show, Tom. Thank you, Joey Electric, and thank you for your contributions because you really kind of you were very prophetic on really understanding the genre. Yeah, thank you. I thought this was good. I'll give Magelio a second to pop in or anybody else, and if not, I'm outie. I'm at 50 minutes. I'll probably jet about minute 53, and that's why short form content rules a roost. 53-minute videos. If I'm lucky, will get viewed for 20 minutes. It's hilarious. I like Chris. Give us. I can't. Oh. See how lame these trolls are. You got one clown just claim my docs. It's great. She never had a wake lame. Well, like I said, everybody's here. Welcome to share their opinions here. I don't censor. That's YouTube's job. I'm not on Rumble yet, but I might have to go there eventually. BRB going. Jesus Christ. The mindset I find interesting, you have to be born into it because most people think as they do. That's correct. Tommy got a social club. Yeah, no, I know Tommy has his own social club, but I'm not allowed to go there. But I want to invite Tommy to come down to the one I belong to. It's not too far from where him and I live. Content creators are quick to platform for Casey Mom sucks any piece of highlight. Well, yes and no. I had highlight on the show. I was happy to have him on, and I also had other creators on that were much smaller at the time. And I told him my criteria: I like to talk to people that I find interesting, and I can learn from them. And I have a very good rapport with Ile. Tom's a good sport. Thank you. Someone has to be. Yes, and it's not easy. You got it, pal. Looking forward to it. There's no armchair. Wait, if there is no armchair, there's no Tommy Stiggs. I love it. He said a long time ago. Stiggs push live. What are you trying to embarrass me, Tom? Exactly. I'm messing with you. Your engagement with short yellow passengers is not my thing. You can't. PPC and spend doesn't make sense in my opinion. The genre. Yeah. So Anthony knows his stuff. You could do what is called ad spend PPC, where you'll say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and promote it. You'll make a penny, but you'll pay 3 cents as a negative arbitrage. You lose money on it. The only case that ever makes sense is if you really care about awareness. You just want more people to know about your show. One of the key about this, and in a lot of business, is you got to pick one of two things when you're starting out. Do you want to grow or do you want to be profitable? It's hard to be both because if you want to be profitable, you got to put money back into the business, right? If you want to grow, I'm sorry. You want to be profitable and you're going to take money out of the business to live, that's fine too. But good luck growing because you're not putting the right resources behind it. Tom, I think they had something going on earlier. FPS growth stopped because he became a Tom channel. Lee Cole channel is the biggest because he does actual content. That's your opinion. I will celebrate everybody's opinion. Whether or not I agree with that, it doesn't matter to me. And I do owe you $50, Squally. Those are some good points. When you do a show that is entire drama based, yes, Mary does at times. So I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'll agree with you where they need to do more evergreen content. That's their decision. It's a free market, free world. But if you do evergreen content, you make less now, but it lives and you make more. But it's also said is if you can get donations and capture those donations, you're more than likely to make more money as a whole. It's just that you got to keep up with creativity. Love the content, those stop. Cool. I knew you were cheating. Exactly. Good for you, Tim. Good to bad. I had a good year last year, I have to say. I lost money on the show. I will admit that. But it was by design because I had two businesses. One was down a little bit. One was up a lot. I made money as a whole. So I invested a lot in the show. And I actually lost money in the show because when you have different businesses, they stack. So if you make $1 here, lose 10 cents here, make $1 here, lose 50 cents. It helps with taxes, and it encourages you to invest in the show. So I lost money last year on the show, even though I put all that effort into it, but I also grew the channel. And there's a long-term strategy here that is in play. But again, I control the money that I put into the show. If I didn't need to lose money, I choose to. And I might even do a show on that as well. Nicosia Connection, you came up in my feed today. I watched one of your shows. I'm so happy you're back. I was already subbed, so I guess it's the old channel. I was watching you walking on the boardwalk today without glasses. I was like, oh shit, he have his glasses on. So check out Nicosia Connection. Good dude, smaller channel. He's proud of it, and it's good stuff. MB, but man, and Sammy's podcast was the height. For me, Sammy was my best individual show, but my overall numbers are better now than then. And that's because there is an accumulation. When you have some good guests, you don't always appreciate the return right away. You know what I mean? You get the subs now, they accumulate. So I picked up a lot of subs for the Pablo Escobar wife interview and the Sammy interview. Wait a second. Is this the Lori Love? I don't believe it. I respectfully, Lori's always been a little critical of me, justifiably so. Because Lori Love has a certain belief. If this is who I think it is, so I respect you coming on. I respect you respecting the topic. I respect you being critical of me, because some of the criticism I do get is justified, and I welcome that and I accept that. Thank you, Tony. I don't know how you say thank you in French. How'd you like the mic? Okay, so I was at my favorite cigar place, Barrister Cigar. I had a My Father cigar. My wife got me for one of my birthdays, I think a year or two ago, a box of My Father cigars, and they were Connecticut shade, meaning they were lighter wrap, and they were absolutely exquisite. So I had about a half hour to smoke about a 45-minute cigar. I was in the mood for My Father. I was in the mood for something very tobacco-y. I don't know if that's a word. I tried a Le Bijou 1922 My Father cigar, not crazy expensive, $13. It was a Maduro wrapper, which means it's dark. It means it was heavy. It knocked me on my ass. When I stood up, I was like, I thought I was high. So I enjoyed the cigar because it's a quality cigar. It just was not my cup of tea. So thank you, Johnny, for shouting that out. But Lord love, I'm super happy that you're here, and I'm super excited. I'm shooting now for 30 minutes on my lives. Yeah, shorter form content is gonna win in the long run. JC Singular Docs. Well, they can do it later. Again, happy Lori's here. Well, you know, some people make up stories. I went out with Sam Giancana. I listened to a video about Rumble, how content creators make money from it. Yeah, I looked into Rumble briefly as like a backup to this. I don't think their monetization for creators is even close to YouTube. I think I don't think they're paying creators. I'll look into that, Joey Electric. I'm actually interested in that. To clarify, Shatan J. Spillum saying he docs his own sister's wake. That wouldn't even make sense. What he did was docs. I can't get involved with that stuff. I know more guys than you should. American Made, how are you? I'm still waiting for Pizza Mob story. That's his business. Did any strangers actually go care enough? Okay. Oh, that's loud. John Wolf goes mobtube. Okay. All right. I guess we're gonna be winding down. Nobody wants to come on, which is more than fine. Yeah, Nicosia, I support you wholeheartedly. Feel free to tag me at any community post when you get your community post back up, and I'll share it on my channel for you. Yeah, buddy, we got a lot to talk about. I want to do a show on this whole Silicon Valley Bank thing. It's $210 billion failure. It's the 16th largest bank in the world. Another world in the U.S. Probably the world is probably up there as well. And it's going to be a scam, and it's going to be bigger than Enron. In my opinion, it's going to be the next Enron. So stay tuned. The positive may be it may lower rates. So, oh wow, Thank you, Bambi. I really appreciate that. Real content. Been watching for a while. I don't like the freeload. Wow, it's very much appreciated. I think I made some money today. Wow, it's pretty cool. Yes, it is, Tom. I'm black and white. What you see is what you get. You know, Lori, I adopted the balls and strikes philosophy a little while back, and it seems to be working out pretty well. That's why with you, I call balls and strikes. You've been very critical of me, but you've been right on your criticism. And I like the fact that you're able to say, when you see a strike, you'll call it, and when you see a ball. And I respect you wholeheartedly for that. And everybody has a place here, but you especially have a place here. So I really do appreciate it. It's kind of like a kumbaya type thing. I know your business knowledge is good. Yeah, I try. I'm a little more the marketing than the straight business and finance. And I really wish I had more of a finance background. The finance space and YouTube is like 100x bigger than like the mobtube stuff. But nevertheless, Tom has a mess screen business spending knows. But, well, I hold on. Oh, I'm still on live. Can I show you everybody? No, I'm just kidding.
Are you done?
No, I'm on. You're on live right now. You're on the screen.
Yeah.
Shoot, shit. All right, I love you. Give me 2 minutes. I love you, babe. Bye. You should get a green screen. Yeah, so I was looking to do a studio last year, and I was going to do all in studio interviews, and then like the cost of it was just like ridiculous. And I was going to like buy a building and like maybe rent it all out, take the rent roll, and cover the space. It doesn't cost me anything, or it cost me very little. But then at the time, the commercial real estate market was hot and interest rates were low. And now it's the inverse. The market is low, but interest rates are high. Proper bottom feeder. And little mobs like that. The chid to go on is the BQE. Ah, we got a good group today. I like it. Get the way you clean up no more than people. I do. I don't think I do. France Cohiba cigar cost. Yeah. So yeah, those are the what is it called? The Cuban Cohibas, and they're expensive a lot because of the tax, the VAT tax, and all that stuff, or the taxes associated. I will tell you though, if you can get a Cuban Cohiba Siglo 6, you'll do okay for $50. Trust me. Take that to the bank, as Francis always says. A lot of credit on reaction videos. Yeah, so reaction videos, I do unpacking videos on my own stuff because I don't get like struck. But I was doing also reaction videos to this guy who was an Italian creator who covered the Italian organized crime. He never struck me, and I even reached out to him. He never reached out back. I could maybe do more stuff on there. All right. Well, listen, this was fun. Thank you for people that donated. Those people that are watching, feel free to hit the thanks button below and donate to the show. It allows me to grow as a creator and invest back into the business. A sincere thank you for everybody that's been here today. Lori Love, See No Evil, Chris, everybody, Bambi, and I appreciate you all. Have a great day, guys.